Hey folks, how's it going? Well, what we're working on today in the neighborhood garage is a 2006 Ford Fusion. And this car's problem is it has a ruptured, broken, or a cracked air conditioning condenser, which is here right in the front. Don't know what happened to this. This is my personal car, and just suddenly lost air conditioning about a month or so ago. So I've been driving around with no air conditioning, and that's pretty bad here in the South. So we're going to dig into this and fix this, and this shouldn't be a very hard job to do, but like a lot of newer cars, getting into the components is going to be 8/10 of it. So on this car, I know they're recommending we take off the front bumper cover and take the fans out, move the radiator back. So we've got some steps to go through to get into this condenser. So we're going to get on with it. When you're working on an air conditioning system, you need to have some specialized tools on hand to do that with, and one of those little refill kits from the parts stores is just not going to do it when you got to take components out and replace them if you're doing a compressor replacement or you're doing a condenser replacement or something along those lines. So I'm going to show you what I bought and have on hand to do air conditioning work with. First thing I've got, this is a cheap vacuum pump that comes from Harbor Freight. Now, I don't endorse Harbor Freight products. They're all cheap and they all have a questionable lifespan. But the thing with things like vacuum pumps is that, you know, you can spend any kind of money you want to on it, but I'm not going to, for the amount that I'm going to use this, which is not often, I'm not going to spend a lot of money on something that's $200 or $300. So this should work for me just fine, and it should for you too if you're just a DIY type of person working on air conditioners. And the reason why that you want to have a vacuum pump is because that whenever the system's opened up on one of these, that you need to pull a vacuum, what they call pull a vacuum on it, because that sometimes they'll have moisture in them, but this one's been open a while and it's been hot, so it probably does not. But sometimes there's moisture left in the system, and that will help boil off the moisture. And also, more than anything, it's just a test to make sure that you don't have a leak in your system anymore. So you're going to put a vacuum on this and run it for 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, and then turn it off and watch it and see if the gauge drops. So we'll get into that. And another thing that I got that's essential to do this kind of work, I also bought one of these Pittsburgh AC manifold kits. And this is just generally, I can probably do better than to show you what this is. This is just a set of gauges you can hang off the hood, and it's got blue, red, and yellow, 3 gauges, got their various connectors and things like this. And this is what you use to help with pulling the vacuum on it, and also helps you when you're recharging it. Now, you can recharge it with one of those little funky little kits if you want to, but this, you know, you have gauges on hand, so it'll let you know what your pressures are. It's very good to know that. It's essential, really, and that kind of thing. So this saves you trouble. This was about $55, and they go up from there. You know, if you want to spend more money, again, if you want to spend more money on something, you can. And a couple other things too. Let me grab those for you. Okay then, a couple other things you have to have on hand is, of course, you need refrigerant. This is just a common type of AC refrigerant, R134A, which is what this car takes. All cars since '94 take that. And this car, you need to know how much, if your system's empty like this one is, you need to know how much to put back in it. Don't just guess at it. So this one takes 21 ounces, and these cans come in a 12-ounce can. So you're going to put all of one can and most of the next can in it. And then also, one thing you need to have on hand is you need to have the oil to put back in the system. This car uses PAG 46. Do not use the wrong kind of oil on it. So find out what kind of oil it uses, find out how much it's supposed to have in it. This one's supposed to carry 6 ounces of oil, 21 ounces of refrigerant, 6 ounces of oil. Now this one was obviously had leaked out some of the oil underneath it when it ruptured, so this is kind of a guessing game. There's obviously going to be some oil still left in it, but we need to put some back in it just to make sure that it's got enough to function without destroying the compressor. So I'm going to estimate that this is going to need between 3 and 4 ounces of fluid. This is oil. This is a 8-ounce container. And one thing to note also is when you're going to buy things like Freon and stuff, you can get into the parts store and they're going to have this rack that is full of all this stuff. It's going to have all these funny names on it. It's like recharge and enhancer and ice and freeze and this, that, and other. And it's going to have this stuff, sealer and stuff in it. So when you're doing work on an air conditioning system like this and you haven't had any prior problems with it, then there's no need to be putting junk like that in it because it's no use in it. So don't fall for that. And also, when I was buying oil for it, normally now I recommend that you buy your oil and your Freon off the internet. But when I was buying oil for it, you can get oil in one of these little charge cans. It's got a threaded fitting on the top of it that lets you connect it to the manifold set. It makes it a little easier. But if you look at it, it's a rip-off. It's like a lot of stuff in the parts store. It's a rip-off for any professional. What that is it says it's 3 ounces, and that's about what I needed. It's a little charge can, but you look at it, it's got some sort of little something on it like oil plus freeze 2 or something like that. And you look at the contents of this can. It's a 3 ounce total weight, but it has 1 ounce of oil in it, 1 ounce of this other stuff, and 1 ounce of something else. So you're only getting 1 ounce of oil for $7.99. So that is a rip off. Do not buy things like that. Just get straight oil, and when you take the system apart, just pour the oil, the required amount of oil in it, and go from there. So this one we're not taking the compressor loose or anything like that. All we're going to do is just take the condenser out. So it should be pretty cut and dry once we get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to start disassembling this and get into it, and I'll show you as we go what we need to use to take things loose, what tools you need. And so I guess we can't put it off any longer. Let's dig into it. First thing I did is I took the air box out. It's over there, and that comes out. Got a ghost back there. Comes out pretty easily. When you come in here, you've got a plug that's at the back of it for the mass air meters. Can be up like this. You pull out on that little red insert to the rear, and then the thing just slips off. And then you have on the air box itself, you're going to have clips that are on the front side of it. 1, 2, 3. You undo those clips, and then you can be able to take this off. And one thing don't forget to do is I almost forgot to tell you, is take a screwdriver and loosen up this clamp for the intake hose, and then you can work that top part out and just put it away somewhere safe. And then the bottom kind of goes in these little, it's got a couple pegs that fit in these little retainers down there. So what you do is you just grab the end of it down here and kind of give it a little bit of a yank, and it comes loose. And there's a little air horn of a thing that comes over and fits on this right here. You'll see it when you take that all off over there. There you can see it right there. And then that gets that out of the way. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to work on this radiator fan. And so down here, if we can kind of maneuver the camera in, there's yeah, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I guess you can see it right there. That red little spot in the center, that's a plug right there that's mounted. Here's an upper view of it. Hopefully we can see a little better. Maybe there it is right there. And you need to unplug that, and here's the plug to it right here. You just simply, it's in like about this orientation, and you're going to take your finger and you're going to squeeze in on this little tab, and then you're going to carefully work it out and pull it out of the way. And then should be able to start working on getting this fan out. I didn't disconnect my battery. I don't think it's going to be necessary for this, but you've got a harness that goes across the top right here, so you're just going to carefully pull out these retainers that hold it down. Got one there. You got one right there, and then there's one right there too. So get that kind of back out of the way right there and get it out of your way. And then it looks to me, I've never had this car apart like this, but just looking at it, I see this is the fan assembly right here, going across, and I see one thing. It looks like there's a, this fits down in a little slot made onto the radiator right there, and this looks like you're gonna have to squeeze that and then pull up on it. So I'm gonna work on that right now. I'm gonna get it to stand over here and let you guys watch my efforts. I seen some oil on the other side of the radiator over there. I don't know what that's about. If I got a line leaking or something, but got the tripod backwards. One thing I noticed is this car, like I said, this car, I've made a few videos about it. I had to fix the transmission in it when I got it. So one thing I noticed is that the front end has been repaired on this car. I can tell because I think the radiator is a used one. So it might have something to do with this condenser failing. I don't know. Okay, let's just see what happens. Squeeze that, pull up. Okay, that one's kind of loose. And that one I can't reach, and I have to get a screwdriver and get down in there. Looks like. Oh well. Here it comes, and then this one. This one fell back in. Okay, let me work on that a little bit because I don't know what could be holding it in there. And I don't want to bore you guys to death trying to wait on me to get it out. So let me just work away on that, and I'll come back when I've got something to add to this. Okay, then next hurdle, the fan is not going to come out without taking the upper radiator hose off, so I just unclamped it and stuck it back out of the way back here. Tried to conserve as much fluid as I could. I lost a little bit into my drain pan down here, but not that bad. So I've got some extras, so you probably want to, if you don't have any, you might want to go ahead and grab some. This takes Ford Gold coolant. So now I'm going to work on working that fan out and see if I can get it out without any further difficulties. One thing also I failed to mention is I removed that duct that goes back to the alternator. That's the alternator cooling duct. That's that guy right over there, that long snake thing, and bolted down right up here, and then it's got two bolts back here in the valve cover. You'll see them. They're all 10 millimeters, so just take those out. You can pull it off. Be sure you put it back though. Okay guys, I'm actually putting this in near the front of this video, but this is something I'm filming midstream. I just want to go ahead and give you a heads up as you're doing this. You need to go ahead and take the bumper cover off. It's not going to come out any other way. There's just too much stuff in the way in there to get to the clips and things that hold that condenser to the radiator. So you've got a series of bolts along the bottom of this bumper cover that need to come out, along with the 4 on the top that I've already taken out. I'm going to show you that there. That's them here. My terrible light, sorry for that, but you got here, got some along over there, and along the way just take all those out. And then I believe you got 2 or 3 in here at the back. Right here, some push connectors running through there. They need to come out. And this one's already damaged, so it's going to come off this side easy. But over here, I think you got to take this marker light out, which is probably going to come in from the back. Over there, I see a clip right there where that light is. You see that little clip? I think you got to squeeze that and get that out, and then the whole thing will just kind of pop out. You can deal with your clips as you need to, and then just rip the thing off. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do that, but I fought with it. There's just no way it's gonna have to come off. Okay, well, that's where the bumper cover literally landed once I took off the last fastener over there on the side. So let's just run through this real quick again, where you're going to take fasteners out. At the top you got screw, push pin, screw. You've got a series of small bolts along the bottom. There, supposed to be one there. There, supposed to be one there. There. And you got 3 push pins on the side. You got 3 push pins on the side. And over here, you notice this edge right here's got sort of some little catches on it. There's a bracket made into the side of this thing that's supposed to capture that. This one pulled out, but it pushes into the body of the frame of the car, and that's what holds the side in. So you'll have to kind of work that out to get that thing to come loose. So okay, then let me put this out back and we'll see what we got. Okay, then taking a look at the front of this, it looks like to me that what we got is we have a hose connection right there needs to come loose. That's for the power steering cooler, by the way. That uses the top part of the condenser. And then you got the same thing over on that side over there, right in there. You see it kind of right there. And so you can do that. And then this is connected to the radiator right there. That's why we had to take the bumper cover off. You see it's got like a little squeeze connector right there. And then one over here also. Oh, my light does not want to cooperate. So believe me, it's in there. It's right back in there. You'll see it. So just be careful taking this stuff off because you don't want to mess up your radiator. You have to go buy a new one of those too. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to take those hoses off, and then I'm going to squeeze that little contraption right back in there on each side, and hopefully this thing will come out. So wish us luck. Well, it's ugly with no bumper cover on it. Ugh. Turn off. Yeah, this thing was piled up all right. Got a replacement impact bumper, and the radiator has got University Chrysler on it. The failed thing there has got University Chrysler on that. And guess what this has on it? Yeah, that's right, University Chrysler. So I guess University Chrysler put this thing back together. It was bad enough it got 2 fenders, the hood. I mean, it got hit pretty hard. So, poor old car. The Craigslist $800 Fusion. So I've got a little tool I use, especially on these spring clamps that Ford uses. And it works good on this, but it really doesn't work very good on anything else. This is basically, it's a jaw thing here, and with a handle at the other end with a cable connected them, and you squeeze that, and it squeezes this, and it ratchets and holds it. So they work okay, as long as you can get into them. They don't work too good on some other stuff, but they're okay on this. This is kind of inconvenient place to work here. For those of you that are wondering, is the dog still barking up there today? Yes, he is. He's always barking. Alright, here we go. Now, just to get that clamp to move backwards. In business. Then I got another tool I use to get hoses loose. These are hose pliers and just grab the hose and pull gently. Usually they'll come loose pretty easy. Tight squeeze here in the old neighborhood garage. That one, I'll come in and see what I was doing. Power steering fluid, who's bad for that? Oh, I hear something different. Good thing I'm not reusing that coolant. Alright, let's see if we can get this one. Do the same thing. Making a mess. I think that's power steering fluid. Maybe I don't think that's the transmission cooler. Okay, they did not put up too much of a fight, but they're leaking out. You can hear them dripping under there. They're leaking into that drain pan, so it's off right there. Good Lord, how much fluid's in that thing? Okay, now we need to unclip that condenser, and we also got to undo the, I forgot to show you that part. We get unclipped, and the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over and undo the connector, which is right there. It's got two nuts, holds it on, that thing right there. Do that last so we less risk of getting dirt in it. So let me work on that, and I'll come back to it. Okay, here's a gotcha. I had to take the right hand headlight loose most of the way out, because if you look back in there, right on the side, right behind that little hose right there, you can just see the head of a little push pin there. And what that is, that's holding the condenser tube assembly to the radiator on the side over here. And of course, they're not telling you about that, but that's the case. So you're gonna have to try to pry that thing out and get it loose. Otherwise, the condenser's not gonna come loose from the radiator. So before you start yanking on that thing, make sure this is out. And so again, I had to take the right hand headlight loose and get it out of the way to get to that. Okay, the moment of truth. Oh. Gosh, damn, that thing's tight in here. Okay then, let's fill some more. This thing had a lot of power steering fluid in it. Okay, like I said, this thing has got, what keeps leaking is this the two top tubes of the power steering cooler. So I was looking here, trying to see what happened to the condenser on the face of it. I don't see anything, but I'm going to take it outside. I'll be right back and take you out here and look at it. Yeah, something hit it right here. there's some green stuff right there. That's where the dye was in the Freon, and there's a hole right there. See it right there? That's it. So something got kicked up off the road and hit it. Oh well, those things happen. Okay, well, it's kind of a greasy mess in there, so I'm gonna work on cleaning that radiator up, and then I'll get the new one out. I'm gonna put it back in and continue forward. Okay, here's our new condenser. It's just a direct replacement for the one we just took out. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put in about 3-4 ounces of this PAG oil into one of the ports right here, because I'm doing it this way because it's almost impossible to get it in one of those lines there that's hanging free. So we're just going to do it this way. The condenser is the lowest part of the system, so it normally holds most of the oil, and so that should be no problem. So this is a 8-ounce bottle of it. So you just got to kind of estimate. Air conditioner work is not an exact science sometimes, but just carefully. Just go ahead. Go out. Suction lock it. Easy. Better with the phone with it. Okay, then one of the last things before you drop it back in is make sure you put the 2 new studs that are supplied in there. Right there they are. See them there, and leave those plugs in those ports because you don't want dirt to get in them. Dirt. Just drop it in. Okay, progress report. I got the condenser back in, and don't forget to put on your 2 power steering cooler lines that we had to take off, one on each side, when you put this all back together, and just set it back in place. You'll understand when you look at it how the bottom slides in the little holders, and then it's got clips here that we had to fight a little bit, and then you got your little push pin on the end of it. And then I just went ahead and connected my lines. I cleaned things very thoroughly and connected those back up, torqued them down, put the transmission cooler line back in I had to take out, and I'm about to put on my coolant overflow hose here and put the bolt back in for this bracket right here, and then we'll work on getting that fan put back in. Okay then, so what we got to do now is we're going to have to vacuum the system. I've got my vacuum pump connected down here to the middle of the yellow line in your kit, and then you've got the red line. Your high pressure connects. The high pressure port on a Fusion is over here right next to the coolant recovery tank, and the low pressure, the blue one, is connected back at the near the firewall. That's the low pressure. And you ever wonder which is which on one of these? The high pressure is the larger of the 2 ports, and of course obviously the low pressure is going to be the lower of the 2. So leading up to this, I've just got everything put back together just as the exact opposite of taking it apart. I haven't put the front end back on yet. But I'm going to vacuum this for about 30 minutes. So I've got all the valves closed right now. I've got the valves, you've got valves here, you've got valves on each of those couplers, and you've got valves up here at the manifold. So what you're going to do is you've got on the low side, you've got 0, and then you have a scale 10, 20, 30, which says vac. So you should be able to draw a vacuum on this. And that, like I said, that not only does that help draw off any moisture that might be in it, it also let you know that the system's, if it'll hold vacuum, we'll be turning this off, and it will indicate that the system is tight, it's not leaking. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and while that's working, I'm going to clean the garage out. So we'll fire up the vacuum pump. And then open the high side, open the low side. Open it here. Okay. We're pulling about 21, 25 inches of vacuum, so you're just gonna let that run like it is for about 30. Then you're gonna shut it off to see if it holds without leaking down. Whoops, you dizzy yet? Okay, I'll catch you in a little bit. Had this thing work. There we go. See you then. Okay guys, I decided to just go ahead and wrap this up this morning, the next day, because I couldn't find my can tapper last night and it was getting late also, so we're just going to go ahead and do the charge procedure this morning. Now, got my gauge set out here, and this is a common apparatus that's used for working on air conditionings. It's just got 3 hoses on it. It's got a yellow, which is your supply or your vacuum hose. It's got a red, which is high pressure, and it's got blue, which is low pressure. Look at these ends of these things. They've got you put them together, they've got a adapter which goes on whichever port you're going to use, high side, low side. They're different sizes, you can't screw them up. Just make sure you put the red one where it says high on the red hose and on the large port. Like I said, they're 2 different sizes, you can't mix them up. Don't mix them up. So essentially what you do at this point, you look at your gauge set. Your manifold over here has got 2 gauges on it, 2 valves on it, open and close, and then close them. Make sure they're all closed. Make sure every valve is closed on this thing before you do anything. So it says on here how to do it, which way to close. And then you're going to go ahead and connect them to the car. And this car, the high side is up at the front, the low side is at the back right there. Okay, now let me, excuse me, let me just tell you a word about charging this. Air conditioning system is sort of like voodoo in a way that there's no definitive answer for anything you do on it. But the rule of thumb is when you look at these gauges up here, as you're charging, the gauges are wanting to go the other way, aren't they? Get them to cooperate a little bit. But anyways, you look at these things, you got 2 gauges, high side, low side, all right? Well, the rule of thumb is look at your high side as you're charging it. Of course, you want to know how much Freon, how much R134 you want to put in to begin with, and don't overfill it. But the rule of thumb is that generally the high side is going to run about 2 times the ambient temperature. So today it's about 80 degrees, so we got 150. 175, so we should be just above 150 when we have this thing charged all the way. That should be, now like I said, there's no rule of thumb, you just don't want to go high. High is bad. So usually the bottom side and the low side is going to run anywhere from about 20 to 30. But there again, you know, it's kind of a conglomeration of putting the right amount of Freon in it and it being cool and not being over pressurized. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go ahead and get ready to start loading this in. I have checked this and it is holding pressure, so that's good. Pull the vacuum on it, that's how you do that. So if it holds vacuum after you turn the pump off, then you're okay. So generally what we're going to do now is one more word of warning. Is that when you charge an air conditioning system, you do not ever open the high side manifold point valve. Don't ever open that. Don't touch it. Don't even look at it. Just make sure it's closed. Leave it alone. Now you open the low side over here on the connector. You open the port valve on the high side and the low side both on the ports. That's fine. And then you'll open the one for your feed. But otherwise, don't do it. But I'm going to go ahead and start the car up and get this thing prepared. And this is a can tap, and it's just simply a 90-degree valve that fits on your can here, and you screw it all the way out first because it's got a little needle valve in there, this sort of thing, and then screw it all the way out as far as it'll go, or as far as it needs to be. You screw it to the can, and then you can connect it up to your apparatus hose here, like so. And then when you get ready to start loading it in, we're going to open 3 valves. We're going to open 4 valves. Actually, we're going to open only the low side up here, low side, high side there, and this one. Start charging. Kind of an ordeal. It's the way it is. So with any luck, as this thing starts taking Freon, you'll start hearing the air conditioner kick on and start cycling. Let's hope. Just a reminder, this one takes 21 ounces of charge. Those come in a 12-ounce container. So people that do air conditioning work professionally, they weigh it. They don't use those little small containers, but we don't have that option, so we got to use those. One thing is, do not turn one of those cans upside down and get liquid in there. It has to be in a gaseous state. You can do it by liquid, but it's dangerous. Don't do it. Don't ever do it. Noise is not the air conditioner. That's I got a PCV line that's cracked and needs to be replaced. Now, one thing to notice when the system is off and not running, these pressures should equalize once these valves are open. So the valves are open to the system, but they're not open to the Freon yet. So you can see the high side is on about 30, and the other one's on about 38. Well, they're both 38, roughly. Wake up, Tyler. it up. Okay, I don't want to overfill it, so the compressor came on, it's running, so I'm going to check my inside temperature, see how it's looking, and watch my gauges. Still a little warm, not really cool yet. Also, you can drag your line in. We're at about 145 on the high side, about 15 on the low side. About 152 on the high side. Okay, it's starting to cool, so I'm going to go ahead and just ease on a little bit more Freon into it. Now, this is what I'm talking about. You look here, the low side's about 20, the high side is about 158 or so. So we're getting close to having the correct amount of Freon in it. So it won't take too much more to get it filled up. Ease a little more into it. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to spray the condenser a little bit with some cool water, and that just kind of helps it even off the pressure. Well, more than anything, kind of helps you get a good idea of how it's cooling. I'll turn the water on now. I'll make you guys wait for that. You see the pressure dropping when I'm spraying the condenser? See, that's what I'm talking about. It's all on temperature. It's all temperature. Well guys, I tell you what, it's feeling nice and cool in there now, so I think I'm going to call this a wrap. Now I may come back and I'll drive it for a while and see how the temperature works on it, feels, and if I feel like it may need a little bit topping up of Freon, I'll do so, but right now our pressures look pretty good. You notice today, when I soaked the condenser, they came down, so that's normal. But that's what they mean when they say that high side especially is all to do with temperature. So what we're going to do now is we're going to close off all our coupler valves and then close off the, where's my finger at? There it is. Low side, high side, and then we're going to close that single manifold valve that we opened. And remember, don't touch the high side manifold valve when you're charging. No, 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 no. Never, never. So, now, this thing, if you seal this can back down like this, it'll retain your charge. A little dent in the bottom of it. But like I said, I may be going conservative on this Freon, but I do not want to overcharge it. That's not good for it. So I'm going to sit here and look at my pressures a little bit longer. If I feel like it may need a little bit more, I may put some more in. But I don't think I'm going to have to. Yep, I think we're good. All right, let's disconnect that manifold set. Close. can open these to get the pressure off of them. Not connected to the car. Well guys, I want to thank you for watching. Got one of these old cars that's having air conditioning problems. Don't hesitate to tie into it, and should get this thing wrapped up. The only thing that we got left to do is we're gonna need to put that front end back on. Don't knock the tripod over, but there again, I detailed to you, I hope last night, that that thing's pretty easy to get on and off. You got 4 connectors across the top in front of the grill. This way in front of the grill, you got 6 or 8, whatever there are, across the bottom. You got a clip here, if you push in and latch it, clip over there is supposed to be, this one's broke. And then you got 3 push pins on the inside right in front of the wheel, and on the other side 3 push pins right in front of the wheel. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them. So thank you for coming along on this little project. I'm glad to have air conditioning again. If you live in the south or someplace in the west, man, you know. So appreciate all of y'all. So thank you so much. See ya. Well, it was evident that whatever took out that condenser was some kind of debris that got bounced up off the road and probably went in right through there. So I've designed and built and installed a custom condenser protector, and I know first thing you're going to say is that looks just like one of those custom billet grill inserts. Well, thanks, but it's not. I actually just built this out of some chicken wire and some tie wraps. It's a very clean installation. Now, it's worth noting that there's also gaps up here that could emit other kinds of things like that, but most often rocks tend to bounce right there. I had another car that took the condenser out too, just like that, so maybe that will help prevent that. People that drive on the Alcan, they do this all the time because they can't keep a condenser or a radiator in their car. There's a shield under it so nothing comes up right there. And so I know the thing you may say is, why'd you drill holes in your bumper? Well, this bumper's not in very good condition anyway. It's busted up. It's not even, there's no light in there. It's broken with part of it, so no big loss. It's okay then. That concludes this video. Bye.